Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Fables and Fury, and I hope you had a fantastic day. We're going to be continuing where we left off from yesterday with Terry Pratchett's Equal Rights. We are on page 53, and Granny has just gotten X back from the Eagle's mind. So S is about to wake up, and let's go on from there. Granny woke with bright sunlight skewering into her eyes. She was slumped against the door, and her whole body felt as though it had a toothache. She reached out blindly with one hand, found the edge of the washstand, and pulled herself into a sitting position. She was not really surprised to see the jug and basin look just the way it always had. In fact, sheer curiosity overcame her aches. She gave a quick glance under the bed to check that, yes, all things were normal. The eagle was still hunched on the bedpost. In the bed, Esk was asleep, and Granny saw that it was a true sleep and not the stillness of a vacant body. All she had to do now was hope that Esk wouldn't wake up with an irresistible urge to pounce on rabbits. She carried the unresisting bird downstairs and let it free outside the back door. It flew heavily up into the nearest tree, where it settled to rest. It had a feeling it ought to have a grudge against somebody, but for the life of it, it couldn't remember why. Esk opened her eyes and stared for a long time at the ceiling. Over the months, she had grown familiar with every lump and crack of the plaster, which created a fantastic upside-down landscape that she had peopled with a private and complex civilization. Her mind thronged with dreams. She pulled an arm out from under the sheets and stared at it, wondering why it wasn't covered with feathers. It was all very puzzling. She pushed the covers back, swung her legs to the edge of the bed, and spread her wings into the rush of the wind and glided out into the world. The thump of the bedroom floor brought Granny scurrying up the stairs, to take her in her arms and hold her tight as the terror hit her. She rocked back and forth on her heels, making meaningless soothing noises. Esk looked up at her through a mask of horror. "I could feel myself vanishing," she said. Yes, but you're better now," murmured Granny. "You don't understand. I couldn't even remember my name," Esk shrieked. "But you can remember now." Esk hesitated, checking. Yes, of course, now. So no harm done? But," Granny sighed. "You have learned something," she said, and she thought it safe to insert a touch of sternness into her voice. "They say a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, but it's not one half so bad as a lot of ignorance." "But what happened? You thought the borrowing wasn't enough. You thought it would be a fine thing to steal another's body. But you must know what a body is like a jelly mold. It sets a shape on its contents, you see. You can't have a girl's mind in an eagle's body. Not for long, at any rate." "I became an eagle?" Esk asked. "Yes." "Not me at all?" Granny thought for a while. She always had to pause when conversation with Esk lay beyond the reaches of a decent person's vocabulary. "No," she said at last. "Not in the way you mean. Just an eagle with maybe some strange dreams sometimes. Like when you dream you're flying, perhaps you would remember walking and talking." "Oh, but it's over now," said Granny, treating her to a thin smile. "You're your true self again, and the eagle has got its mind back. It's sitting in the big beech by the privy. I should like you to put out some food for it." Esk sat on her heels, staring at a point past Granny's head. "There were some strange things," she said conversationally. Granny spun around. "I mean, in a sort of dream, I saw things." The old woman's shock was so visible that she hesitated, frightened that she had said something wrong. "What kind of things?" said Granny flatly. "Sort of big creatures, all sorts of shapes, just sitting around." "Was it dark? I mean, these things, were they in the dark?" "They were stars, I think." "Granny?" Granny Weatherwax was staring at the wall. "Granny? Yes, Granny shook herself. "Yes, I see. Now I'd like you to go downstairs and get the bacon that is in the pantry, and put it out for the bird, do you understand? It'd be a good idea to thank it, too. You never know." When Esk returned, Granny was buttering bread. She pulled her stool up to the table, but the old woman waved the bread knife at her. First things first, stand up, face me. S did so, puzzled. Granny stuck the knife in the breadboard and shook her head. Drat it, she said to the world at large. I don't know what way they have it. There should be some kind of ceremony to find our wizards. They always have to complicate things. What do you mean? Granny seemed to ignore the girl, but crossed to the dark corner by the dresser. Probably should have gone 1 foot in a bucket of cold porridge and 1 glove on and all that kind of stuff, she went on. I did not want to do this, but they are forcing my hand. What are you talking about, Granny? Asked S. The old witch yanked the staff out of the shadow and waved it vaguely at S. Here, it's yours. Take it. I just hope this is the right thing to do. In fact, the presentation of a staff to an apprentice wizard is usually a very impressive ceremony, especially if the staff has been inherited from an elder mage. By ancient lore, there was a long and frightening ordeal involving masks and hoods and swords and fearful oaths about people's tongues being cut out and their entrails torn by wild birds and their ashes carried by the 8 wands, and so on. After some hours of this sort of thing, the apprentice can be admitted into the brotherhood of the wise and enlightened. There's also a long speech. By sheer coincidence, Granny got the essence of it in a nutshell. Esk took the staff and peered at it. It's very nice, she said uncertainly. The carvings are pretty. What's it for? Sit down now and listen properly for once. On the day you were born, some time passes. And that's the shape of it. Es looked hard at the staff, then at Granny. I've got to be a wizard? Yes. No. I don't know. That isn't really an answer, Granny. Am I or anti? Women can't be wizards, said Granny bluntly. It's against nature. You might as well have a female blacksmith. Actually, I've watched Dad at work, and I don't see why. Shh! Look, said Granny hurriedly. You can't have a female wizard any more than you have a male witch, because I've heard of male witches, as said meekly, warlocks! I think so. I could have done that flow better. I apologize. We're going to work on that in the future. I mean, there's no male witches, only silly men, said Granny hotly. If men were witches, they'd be wizards. It's all down to headology, how your mind works. Men's mind work different from ours, see? Their magic's all numbers and angles and edges and what the stars are doing, as if that really mattered. It's all power. It's all... Granny paused and dredged up her favorite word to describe all she despised in wizardry. Geometry. Well, that's all right then, said S relieved. I'll stay here and learn witchery. Said Granny gloomily. That's all very well for you to say. I don't think it'll be as easy as all that. But you said that men can be wizards and women can be witches and they can't be the other way around. That's right. Well then, S said triumphantly, it's all solved, isn't it? I can't help but be a witch. Granny pointed to the staff. S shrugged. It's just an old stick. Granny shook her head. S blinked. No? No. And I can't be a witch? I don't know what you can be, girl. Hold the staff. What? Hold the staff. Now, I've laid the fire in the grate. Light it. But the tinderbox is, SBN. You once told me there were better ways of lighting fires. Show me. Granny stood up. In the dimness of the kitchen, she seemed to grow until she filled with shifting, ragged shadows, shot with menace. Her eyes glared down at Esk. Show me, she commanded, and her voice had ice in it. But, said Esk desperately, clutching the heavy staff to her and knocking her stool over in a haste to back away. Show me. With a scream, Esk spun around. Fire flared from her fingertips and arched across the room. The kindling exploded with a force that hurled the furniture across the room, and a ball of fierce green light spluttered on the hearth. Changing patterns sped across it as it spun sizzling on the stones, which cracked and then flowed. The iron fired back resisted bravely for a few seconds before melting like wax. It made a final appearance as a red smear across the fireball, then vanished. A moment later, the kettle went the same way. Just when it seemed that the chimney would follow them, the ancient hearthstone gave up, and with a final splutter, the fireball sank from view. The occasional crackle or puff of steam signaled. The occasional crackle or puff of steam signaled. The occasional crackle or puff of steam signaled its passage through the earth as the fireball sank lower. Apart from that, there was silence, the loud hissing silence that comes after an earth-splattering noise. And after the... That cannot be a word. After the actinic... A-C-T-I-N-I-C. Actinic. After the actinic glare, look that one up later, the room seemed pitch dark. Eventually, Granny crawled from behind the table and crept as close as she dared to the hole, which was still surrounded by a crust of lava. She jerked back as another cloud of superheated steam mushroomed up. They say there's dwarf mines under the ramp tops, she said inconsequently. My, but then buzzed in for a surprise. She prodded a little pool of cooling iron from where the kettle had been, and added, Shame about that fire bag. It had owls on it, She patted her singed hair gingerly with a shaking hand. I think this calls for a nice cup of cold water. As sat looking at the wonder in her hand. That was real magic, she said at last. And I did it. One type of real magic, corrected Granny. Don't forget that. And you don't want to do it all the time, neither. If it's in you, you've got to learn to control it. Can you teach me? Me? No. How can I learn if no one will teach me? You've got to go where they can. You've got to go to wizard school. But you said, Granny paused in the act of filling a jug from the water bucket. Yes, she snapped. Never mind what I said or common sense or anything. Sometimes you have to go the way life takes you. And I reckon you're going to wizard school one way or the other. Ask consider this. You mean it's my destiny? Granny shrugged. Something like that. Probably. Who knows? That night, long after Ask had been sent to bed, Granny put on her hat, lit a fresh candle, cleared the table, and pulled a small wooden box from a secret hiding place in the dresser. It contained a bottle of ink, an elderly quill pen, and a few sheets of paper. Granny was not entirely happy when faced with the world of letters. Her eyes protruded, her tongue stuck out, small beads of sweat formed on her forehead, but the pen scratched its way across the page to the accompaniment of the quiet drat, or bugger the thing. The letter read as follows, although this version lacks the candle wax blots crossing out in damp patches of the original. To the head wizard, Unseen University. Greetings, I hope you are well. I am sending to you one Escarina Smith. She hath the makings of wizardry, but what may be further done with her, I know not. She is a god worker, and a clean about her person, also skilled in diverse arts of the house. I will send monies with her. May you live long and endure your days in peace. And oblige, Esmeralda Weatherwax, Witch. Granny held up to the candlelight and considered it critically. It was a good letter, and she had got diverse out of the almanac, which she read every night. It was always predicting diverse plagues or diverse ill fortune. Granny wasn't entirely sure what it meant, but it was a damn good word all the same. She sealed the letter with candle wax and put it on the dresser. She would leave it for the carrier to take when she went to the village tomorrow to see about a new kettle. All right, everyone, we're going to stop off there for tonight. I hope you had a great day. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Good nights. We will continue on page 60 tomorrow. And remember that I love you. Words of fun. See you.